as much as we talk about increasing number of policemen across communities and all that, one, we also need to give orientation to many of these policemen because they have bad orientation. We need to work on them. All right? Then we need to correct that psychological issue I just mentioned. You know, thinking that the headsmen, they can do anything with relish, you know, and you can't harm them, you can't do anything to them. All right? We have to correct that. Then what are the Fulani men, headsmen and all that? What are they still doing with arms? Can't we enact laws prohibiting, if we have laws prohibiting private individuals, you know, from possessing ammunition? Why should these people have, you know, the right to carry arms? Can't we do something about that? Then beyond all that, I also feel that, like I said initially, there is a problem. And some of these problems are sociological, some are political and economical. Until we bridge this gap, the gap between the rich and the poor is very wide. The reason why you have less criminal activities in the Western world is, one, you know, the gap is closed. There's nothing like a lower class. You only have the middle and upper class. And that is to say, if you have a medical doctor, for instance, who receives about 12 million naira monthly as salary, the driver of that medical doctor gets about 8 million naira. So why should the driver think of, any kind of enforcing any kind of bad behavior? It's not possible. So we must close that margin. Now the economy of this country is not working. Things are not working in this country. Government must also, in trying to tackle these problems of terrorism, this problem of banditry, government must also close this gap. All these companies, industries that are not working, government must make them work. Government must solve the problem of our universities churning out about 3.5 million graduates annually, but government is not talking about creating new opportunities, industries and all that, or creating enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Nothing is happening. Businesses are dying, collapsing every day. Government is not doing anything about this. If we can solve, for instance, the power problem in this country, if we can solve it, then we have solved about 25 to 30% of the problem of this country. Because businesses will try, there will be opportunities. Now, these youths who are graduating every day from the university, you know, without the hope of getting job, what's going to happen at the end of the day? The other day, Ngige came out, the Minister of Labor came out and said that it is not the duty of government to provide job for you. But it's the duty of government to set up universities, to churn out this labor force. Then they graduate from this university with this stereotyped mindset of white-collar job. Then the white-collar job is not forthcoming. My brother, there's going to be a tsunami. And the problem of insecurity is going to worsen. So it's not enough just talking about increasing. The problem, the solution is not increasing number of policemen. But for me, I feel I support, I'm strongly against, I'm strongly in support of withdrawal of our policemen from all these dignitaries. That's why they are messing up. In Germany, for instance, you see Angelo Merkel riding bicycle, there's no security man. I was in Germany in 2019. One of our governors in this country, you know, from one of our states, was governor-elect then. I don't want to mention him. He was there. I was a resource person at the UN Global Festival of Action, Global Festival of Action in Bonn. And I saw him there. I didn't see him with any aid. I didn't see him with any policeman. In fact, when I was queuing to get food, he was fourth behind me. So they mess up so much in this country, but when they travel abroad, they behave. Why can't we make Nigeria in such a way that, why can't we replicate the kind of model that we see abroad? So the issue is not just increasing number of policemen, because if you increase number of policemen and these issues are not corrected, these problems are not solved, there's going to be a tsunami.
Okay, now talking about the solution to it, just like what you said, there's a recent call for a national conference to be staged on security. And on the 29th of April, the PDP added their voice to that call. Do you feel, and also we saw in the papers today, that most persons, especially the Afenifere, are calling for a national conference to be held or staged in Nigeria to deal with the issues. But we know the presidency 2 weeks back said there will be no need for that. But I want to ask you, would a national conference on security help to salvage the situation?
That's another error. Another error. You know, so at times it hurts me so much that those in position, you know, those in authority and all that, sometimes they don't think. Is there any solution that we have not, you know, as in discussed? Any issue of security we've not discussed by past confab? Look at the confab, the last confab that was done.
2014.
In 2014. Now, a report was issued. In fact, in the history of this country, that was one of the biggest achievements for us as a nation. But now you ask yourself, what has government done with that report? Has government set up a committee to look? For me, I feel it's starting, but because that report is all encompassing. It includes issues of security. It includes economic issues, different issues. For me, the first point is to set up a committee to look at the various reports that have been generated by various confabs or various committees that have been set up.
Rather than
starting where you're going to spend billions again, and it's going to create another atmosphere or avenue for many of these stupid leaders we have in this country to loot more funds. We keep looking out for avenues to loot funds. The challenge or the problem, the solution is not the stupid confab or whatever they're talking about. They should address the issues. We have reports already. Look at that report and look at the solution provided. Or you want to tell me too that they don't have the solution? They know the solution. Now let me give you an instance. When they kidnapped the mother of the CBN governor, the person of Godin Emefiele, you remember that?
Some couple of years back.
Over 250 highly trained DSS officials were deployed into the bush. And in less than 24 hours, they were able to rescue the mother from the bush. They rescued the mother from the bush. You know, I feel one of the reasons or part of the reasons why we are not taking this thing seriously, why our leadership is not taking this thing seriously, is because it does not affect them. Because if it affects them directly, they are going to move. They are going to do something. And it hurts me so much that the innocent policemen are not shedding their blood. The innocent Nigerians are not shedding their blood for the offense committed by these leaders. It's very painful. It's not comfort. Let's stop this issue of this. That's another avenue to loot us.
Okay, now, still talking about the solutions. We know on the 27th day of April, President Buhari himself, just last week, Tuesday, had a virtual meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, and he requested for the movement of the AFCOM. We're talking about the security outfit of the United States from Stuttgart in Germany back to Nigeria to help salvage the issues, and especially to help fight against Boko Haram. Boko Haram, we know, last week hoisted their flag in Shiroro local government.
They were able sharing money, 20,000 naira.
In Naija State, and we saw what played out.
Yes, in
that even some of even and some of even the wives of the villagers were taken away from them and allocated to members of the Boko Haram. And we also are getting reports just on Saturday that about 65 communities have come into alleged negotiation with Boko Haram to be paying them 20 million naira not to be raided. But that's all allegations, and we're alleged to say that. But why I'm asking this question, would the Americans come help us bring back that security we truly need? Like what they did against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Would this be another beautiful development? Them coming
yes. It's two on one condition. It's going to be a beautiful development on one condition. You know, I gave you an instance of the meeting head, you know, the high...
Previously.
Previously.
Some years back.
You know, and how, you know, it was aborted. Okay? Now, there is like I said, we must not forget the fact that a lot of these people have made a very big enterprise out of this. Now, nobody wants to see his enterprise collapse. You get the point? Nobody wants to see. So, the only way the Americans' intervention can work is, one, they have to operate independently.
Away from the Nigerian military force.
Away from the Nigerian military force. And from the Nigerian government. Well, now imagine a government that has, you know, recruited a lot of, you know, the other time they were talking about recruiting, you know, giving amnesty to Boko Haram members and bringing them into the military. You know, that's the worst kind of stupidity you can ever imagine in the world. You know, once a terrorist is always a terrorist. And it's just a way, because in the military, we have a lot of military operatives that are working with Boko Haram. And if care is not taken, may God help us, because before you know, when Nigerians, you know, begin to perceive or, becomes helpless over the government's ability to, you know, nip the issue in the bud or protect them, then you might likely see what you just talked about. Communities going into contract privately with Boko Haram, please exclude us from your attacks. You can kill every other person, but exclude us from your attack and all that. And that's the worst thing that can happen in any nation. You know? So for the Americans' intervention to work, they have to work independently of the government. Because like I told you, our government, they know those people who are sponsoring this thing. They know those people who are benefiting and feeding fat from it. And you and I, we know them. But the challenge with us is psychophancy is a very big problem. Nobody wants to speak out because nobody wants to be indicted for fear of the unknown. So everybody is keeping quiet. You see all this, one of the words I hate so much is allege. There's no smoke without fire. You only talk of allege. And look at the character, the people, the source of such information. Like I told you about Obada Emelafia. You know, he's a PhD graduate from Oxford University. How can you despise, the kind of information coming from this kind of persons? So government must give way for the US government to succeed in their intervention. If not, if they come in here, they will still fail. If there's no proper separation, that's intel, in terms of information, this and intel, there will be proper separation for them to operate. Look at how they rescued the American the other time. They did not involve Nigeria. They did it privately. To nip this, to capture these people is not an issue. It's not a big deal, for crying out loud. But it's just because this thing is not affecting them directly. If by the time you start hearing that a governor has been kidnapped, a governor has been this, a governor's son adopted, this, then you see solution to the problem. Because right now it appears to be far away from them because it's not itching them, it's not touching them. So we are treading on a very dangerous path. And when we talk of civil, I heard people talking recently that the country is going into, might likely go into civil war and all that kind of stuff. The situation we are passing through in this country already is more than a war, is more than civil war. Do you know what it means for your child to go to the university, graduate after spending money, graduate from the school? There is no job opportunity, no hope. Do you know what it means? I left Abuja about a few days ago. The taxi driver that took me has a MSc. Master's degree, a taxi driver who took me to your airport. He graduated about 3 years ago. No job. There are a lot of PhD holders. I've been privileged to sit in board of interview for many organizations. You call for application for mere supervisor position. You see PhD holders applying. And what is the salary? Sometimes 40,000, sometimes 50,000. These are the issues that needs to be corrected. As government is making effort, you cannot solve insecurity problem in a country when you fail to give priority attention to all these areas. Now look at the big industries I used to work in those days. I've often said this, that the youth of today are victims of circumstances. There's what we call situation analysis. The youth of yesterday, who are now the nightmare we are having today, in their time, talking about the 60s and all that, do you know they had in school, if you are in school, you have free meal ticket, at least one free meal ticket daily. And they enjoyed so many facilities. They enjoyed a lot of privileges. And because they were over-pampered, they didn't pay school fees. Somebody was telling me recently that in their days, all you needed to travel to Europe is your ID card, your student ID card. Can you imagine that? They enjoyed so much, ate big chicken. But the moment they climbed with the ladder, they destroyed the ladder in order for others not to climb because of greed and selfishness. And now look, that's what has placed us in this ugly and pitiable situation today. Now, the youth of today, they are not the ones suffering it. And the youth of yesterday will not come on like the other day, the president saying the youth are lazy youth. I said, I don't blame you. In your days, everything was given to you at the platter of gold. But today, the youth of today is that youth that suffers. The youth whose parents will uproot cassava in the farm to send to school. The child gets to school just to hear that acceptance fee has been increased from 20,000 to 100,000 naira. School fees has been increased to 200,000. And they are even taking education from the rich, of the commoners, of the poor. Now you are talking of solving security problems. You cannot solve these problems. All these things are not taken care of. Now talking about way forward. Number one, there's so much problem with our rule of law. So much problem. Now, I give you an instance. When I was in Germany, my taxi driver hit a gas cutter as we were going to a particular location. So I was in haste. I was trying to catch up with an appointment. But this man parked quietly by the roadside and brought out his phone and called the police. I was very mad. When I saw that grass, I said, oh God, I thank you. God has blessed us with animal. This. I was trying to call my friend to tell you, oh God has blessed us. I'm coming home with it. And the guy called police for grass cutter. And the policeman came. What did he do? The driver was explaining, was sweating. Under that code, was sweating seriously that it was an accident. He gave him a form to fill. He filled the form and captured the driver. There's a camera like a gadget. Captured the driver and gave him a clearance this thing. The policeman took our grass cutter put in his car and drove off. So I was very mad at the driver. We spent about 40 minutes there. He delayed me. At that point, the fact that I was in haste never meant anything to the driver anymore. And as we were going, I was very vexed in my spirit. And I was saying, why did you do that? He said, that would have been 10 years imprisonment. There was no camera. I didn't see any camera anywhere. You know, all this while, you hear people talk of camera everywhere. The camera abroad is in their mind, not even the physical camera. So our rule of law is faulty. For us to correct, I told the driver, I said, in my country, if you hit human beings, you don't stop. I said, really? Now, we have to enforce, we have the laws already. The laws, but enforcement is a challenge. We have to enforce it and embed it in the minds of the people. Now, if people commit crime and you deal with them, and people see that this is the repercussion for this thing, and it is being executed, it is being carried out, it will discourage others from doing. Look at the girl at Abraka, they dismembered her body, the Elozino, for instance. Till date, we've not heard anything. What you hear is that they are in the custody there. But I tell you, a lot of things are happening through the back door in the custody. Some of these people just gave freedom unknowingly to us. Because there are a lot of politics going on. Everywhere in this country has been politicized. So if you do that, you're only encouraging, more of this thing. Look at Anambra State a few days ago. You heard, I don't know if you saw the story. A young boy was captured, beating his mother mercilessly, stripped her naked. And you know what they did to that young man? The villagers, the community, they apprehended him, tied him to a big tree, and they lashed him.
Okay, well...
that guy will not want to see that as a fanciful venture anymore.
Mr. Marcos, we'll still talk about the solutions, but I feel it's only right we take the calls because a lot of calls have already been coming and a lot of persons have been itching to have a view in on what we're talking about today. Well, the numbers are already there on the screen, and definitely in case you want to join us on the radio arm, you can reach us on 08022931931, or you can also reach us on 081888888. 931. Any of the numbers we do nicely. We're talking about a way forward and knowing that Mr. President will be having that meeting later in today to either go through with the decision of a state of emergency on security or which way forward. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling from, and please just go ahead.
I am Philip from Mugele.
Oh, Philip from Mugele. Please go ahead, Philip.
Actually, sincerely, I have to thank your guest there.
Yeah.
I will call him second Dr. Shatapoki. By speaking so confidently and without fear. And he has spoken well. All that he has discussed there is the truth. My point is this. The government say they are trying to, they are working towards social security in the country. Not until they feel the heat, nothing will change. But now they are still blind. As far as they are killing the policemen, the army, you're not supposed to kill a rabbit. You have to dig deep. The bandits know that the government, their security is their strength. By the time they finish with all the police, finish with all the army, it's very easy to get access to them. Forget the talk they are using. So the security system in the country is their backbone, and that is what they are attacking now. But for now, they don't know. They are digging to them. For now, they are like rabbits. The people that are digging to them, and the masses, all of us will troop into the office one day. There will be no more security for them, because then the way will be clear. So thank you. I thank your spokesperson there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you also, Philip. But we'll still take more calls before we come finally to you and have your last take. And well, definitely, because a way forward is what we're trying to see and to seek in dealing with the security situation in the country. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling from, and please just go ahead.
This is Favor coming from Mugele.
Oh, Favor, go ahead.
Yes, I want to thank our guest. He has really spoken well. All what he has said is what is really happening in this country.
Yeah.
You see, a nation without a defense is no country. Now, in those days, when you see one army, they will cover the whole community for one uniform man you killed. But now, if you watch them on air, they are not even talking anything concerning the killing going on. Or they are after politics, this, that. And the country, we are at war already. There are people behind these people supplying them ammunition at night. You can't tell me you are not hearing what is happening. Okay, look at the state, the news you read this morning. Ogoni people, they are complaining that outside heads now are eating their car. They went to complain to the chief. The chief now said he owns some cars inside, that he hired the outside headsmen to take off the car. So there are people behind this insecurity going on. If you kill them, imagine many of them last month, 55, about 55 were caught, affected and badly, with ammunition, sophisticated ammunition, and none of them were killed, they were arrested. Then why then you kill innocent people? Nothing will be said. You will not even kill those people so that they will still know the suffer behind it.
Well,
So please, I don't know what is going on. We are already at war in this country, indirectly at war.
Okay,
So
well,
let them to this meeting they are going. We pray that Buhari should say something, because government should be rulers of this thing. Let us take the horn by the bull.
okay, well, definitely we'll
So
take.
thank you very much.
Well, thank you also, Favor, and definitely let's see if we take one last call before we call it a wrap right here on the show, and definitely have your take in on your last word. Hello, good morning to you. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you're calling from. Please just go ahead. You have a minute to do so.
This is Emmanuel
Emmanuel, you're calling us from where?
from Igbide.
Okay, go ahead, Emmanuel.
I thank that very man that is here. He has spoken well. But for me, to my own contribution is this. If our country wants to secure this for our future children, they have to start from the beginning. For example, other states, other countries, they fence their borders. Our borders are so porous. You understand me?
Yeah.
If they can build and work all the whole fences, I don't think there will be issue of this insecurity will left. So that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you also for calling in. I would have loved having a last take from you, but definitely we're totally out of time. We might just really create another day for you to come.